Hi, I'm Holly Clegg. Welcome to my Trim and Terrific kitchen. Wow, do I have another rush hour recipe for you. Everybody loves lasagna, but it's usually so time consuming. Who has all that time and energy to put it together? Well, I might as well call this, it's chicken lasagna, but I really should just call it shortcut lasagna. 5 ingredients, and this recipe is so kid-friendly, your kids are going to start requesting it, and it's one of those you won't mind. So when I say 5 ingredients, you're just going to use your favorite marinara sauce, rotisserie chicken. Wasn't that the greatest invention ever, rotisserie chicken? In fact, this recipe is in Kitchen 101, and I devoted a whole chapter to rotisserie chicken. So I get sideways. Okay, then we have mozzarella cheese, just shredded. Again, your rotisserie chicken, you want to remove the skin, and 2 jars of marinara sauce and ricotta cheese. And I use the part-skim or the reduced fat. Can't tell a difference. And remember, all my recipes are trim and terrific. So the way we started, you put about a cup of your marinara sauce on the bottom. A lot of people say, why do you do that? That's to keep your lasagna from sticking, and it sort of forms a base. So then we're going to do our no-boil noodles, which are wonderful because you don't have to boil them, which is such a time saver. And then this is our ricotta cheese. I use the part-skim. We're going to do a layer of that. And sometimes I even add a layer of spinach here to give it a little more substance, but that's entirely up to you. Our rotisserie chicken that I've taken the skin off of. And we're going to do half of that. And then your part-skim mozzarella cheese. Put that like that. And then we're going to do our no-boil noodles, and they're readily available in the store if you haven't used them. Okay, and I always sort of do this to make it fit on the sides. All right, so time saver. Now we're going to do some sauce. Oops, we have some left in this. Remember, 2 jars of your favorite. Sometimes I buy the roasted garlic. Sometimes I buy, variations, and a lot of times I look for the Heart Smart, which is good too. So we're just having a layer of this. You see, all lasagna is layering, but when you have convenience items for your ingredients, it makes it so simple. Another layer of your chicken, rotisserie chicken, and another layer of your mozzarella cheese. And I always save a little of the cheese for the top. And then our last layer of your no-boil noodles. We'll do this, or no-boil pasta. And again, remember, we don't want to waste any of it. Oh well, I have to clean the kitchen after. All right, do that. And then we're going to do our sauce on the top. Now, what's important when you use no-boil noodles or pasta is you do have to have enough sauce, and that's what cooks it and makes it good. All right, so we've used 2 of our sauces. Now you want to cover it with foil because that way the sauce cooks into the pasta, and you bake it at 350 for about an hour. And it comes out wonderful. You can throw it in the oven. Now, some other tips about lasagna is it freezes beautifully. A lot of times what I do is I take my lasagna, I cut it in different squares, wrap it in saran wrap, and put it in the freezer, and I pull it out for lunch or a last-minute dinner. Makes me look like I've been good in the kitchen. Well, again, this is called chicken lasagna. It's so quick. 5 ingredients using pretty much convenience items, and rotisserie chicken from Kitchen 101. So if you want this recipe, you can go to my website, hollyclegg.com, get the recipe, get all my cookbooks, and I even have a special discount code for you. Hope you enjoy quick chicken lasagna, and I'll see you in the kitchen.